Let's talk about a sensitive topic for Sanji fans, which is his gag. And yes, it is a frustrating topic for us because Sanji's gag gotta be the only one in all of One Piece where the fandom takes it so far out of proportion that it's used again and again to mischaracterize him and distort his entire personality. I find this hate towards his gag very exaggerated. People always say this is Sanji's personality because Oda wrote the gag. And yes, the same Oda also gave Sanji not one but two entire arcs that show how complex, noble, and kind he truly is. Why are you conveniently ignoring the hundreds of other instances of Sanji being kind and respectful? Funny how people want a complex character but can't even handle Blackleg Sanji. Next point is that all Straw Hats have their gags. Would you say Luffy is a selfish bastard who eats all the meat because he wants his crew to starve and die? No, because that sounds absurd, and yet that's exactly what the fandom does to Sanji. They take his gag and twist it as if that is his entire identity and role in the series. Thirdly, Sanji's gag isn't even unique to him. Tons of anime characters and shows have this exact same comedic trope, but somehow only Sanji gets reduced solely to his gag, while the countless moments of him being gentle, respectful, and selfless get ignored. People act like he is some brainless pervert who can't think about anything but women, which is completely false. Also, he wasn't playing around like this during Whole Cake. So yes, he can be serious around women when he wants to. In the topic of Whole Cake, I felt like in Whole Cake Island arc, Sanji's gag acted as a kind of coping mechanism for him. I'm talking about a particular moment that happens right after his meeting with Pudding. He shares an emotional moment with her and he returns to his room stressed out of his fucking skull. He can be seen pacing back and forth and weighing his options on the things that will happen if he just gave up on his dreams. And immediately afterwards, he reverts back to his flirty romance gag persona. My conclusion from this moment is that the gag identity gave him a false sense of normalcy here, because his entire life as he knew it was being appended and torn to shreds at that very moment. His agency was taken away from him, and his meeting with Pudding had just solidified the reality of it. He was giving up on his chef profession, his pirate life, his all-blue dream, his friends, everything that he had ever fought for. And in that situation, this gag became his last fragment of agency. It was a piece of his old self, a false sense of familiarity and comfort when everything in his life was falling apart. Honestly, after Whole Cake, I started being more accepting towards his gag because if it brings comfort to Sanji, then I'm gonna let the boy have his moment. Now let's see his gag from a different perspective. This gag brings an air of goofiness to Sanji's suave but tragic persona. It adds comic relief to a character whose story has themes of genetic modification, child abuse, child imprisonment, starvation, etc. So it actually makes Sanji's character more multifaceted and gives him range. And not just Sanji, it brings relief in an overall heavy story like One Piece that discusses dark themes. For example, the gag breaks tension during Fishman Island, where the main theme was segregation of the fishmen, conspiracy, murder, and revolt. However, I do agree that the gag was overdone in Fishman Island. So there's that. Lastly, his gag is just that, a gag. If you can't see past it, that's on you, because you are missing out on one of the most beautifully written, complex, and layered characters in One Piece. Anyway, bye.